All right, everybody, what's going on? Needs more drums back in our City Skylines 2 city. And today's an exciting episode because I actually have some names for some of the parts of the city and also for the region. So let's go ahead, jump in, and I'll tell you guys what the plan is for today. All right, so as you could see, the city name, well, I guess the region name that I've chosen is CYMBALIA. And the reason that I've chosen CYMBALIA is kind of I got a lot of suggestions for city names that were kind of a throwback to percussion in City Skylines 1. And I was getting a lot of drum related suggestions. So I just went ahead and took the liberty of naming the whole region CYMBALIA, you know, something based off of the word cymbal, you know, the big circle thing that metal thing that you hit as a drummer. So yeah, so that's the name for the region. And then I have a couple of, you know, I had a lot of suggestions, and I will get all of them in at some point. And so I didn't use them all right now because I wanted to get, you know, save some for our other bigger districts and bigger cities in the near future. But one thing that, you know, I do want to keep in mind is that you guys are always welcome to add name suggestions whenever you please. So please continue to suggest names for districts and for other little cities or towns, or, you know, even somebody commented, you know, even like a university name, if there's something like that, you know, that kind of, you know, you could think of something for a very, very specific point in the city, like a stadium or a, you know, university or anything like that, or a big, you know, transit center or something. Please feel free to leave a comment. You know, I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions, and I will try to get as many of them in as I can, you know, throughout the series. So yeah, keep them coming. But a couple that I liked kind of from the start was this Bodron Bay. I kind of like the name of that. It's, you know, refers to like an old Celtic style drum. And, you know, I figured this is kind of going to be the whole Bodron area here. So this city is going to expand out a little bit kind of this way eventually, and, you know, maybe around here even too. But that way this can kind of be the whole Bodron region. And then, you know, this is kind of like the downtown, and then we have Bodron Heights and then Bodron Bluff, which is sort of this one-off neighborhood over here that I still am not super happy with. Maybe this will get a little facelift in the future, but for now, you know, just it's there, it's good enough, whatever. But and then over here we have I believe it's Runebone. This is a like a very old style kind of a ceremonial drum that comes from Norway. So thank you to everyone who commented name suggestions. And again, I noted them all down, so, you know, if yours isn't in here right now, don't feel bad. It'll get in there eventually. I'm just saving some for some future developments. But yeah, so again, similar to how this area is kind of all part of the Bodron city, this is all kind of the Runebone city over here. Kind of probably, I'm thinking sort of to these tracks. I don't know if this will be. This might be something different, but at least all of this here is going to be part of it, and maybe even this too once we get out this way. So those are the names for now. Again, thanks for your suggestions, but what do we want to do in today's episode? Well, I am going to tell you. So there's a few things that I want to get done, and mainly this downtown area, I just don't like it. I like the layout, but I just don't like the density. I think it's too dense for being such a small footprint, and so I kind of want to make it like this. So I'm actually going to go ahead, get rid of these high density zones and add in some medium density, even though we don't have any demand for it right now. I just want to get rid of these high density zones. I don't think they fit very well here. So that's, you know, on the to-do list for today. Second, somebody made a comment that these 6-lane roads are a little bit excessive in this area, and I totally agree. I don't think we need 6 lanes. The 4 lanes will be plenty. So I'm going to bring this down to 4 lanes just all around here, and that should look a little bit better. I hate this. Just absolutely hate it. I don't really know how to fix it at the moment. I'm going to think of some ways maybe to kind of change this slope. This isn't going to be a today's episode thing. This might even be like an off-camera thing, but just so you know, I'm thinking about it. If you hate it too, it's not going to stay long-term. It's such an eyesore, but, you know, it functions well for what it is, and so we're going to leave it for now, but it probably will change in the future. Also, I want to just kind of, similar to what we did last episode, filling in some of the gaps. I kind of want to just do that some more in the city. You know, there are a couple little spots that could use a little bit of love, particularly this coastline here. this whole industry area, we have a pretty heavy industrial demand. Even the landfill, I don't even know if we need the landfill anymore because we have this recycling center that's taking care of a lot of the processing for the garbage. But, I guess it does help to maybe have this here, but we might even consider getting rid of this and replacing it with some industry or something. So just things to think about. And then I'm also thinking about, if we have the time, which hopefully we will, I want to bring the development, well, I guess develop this area over here. I thought about making it into kind of some small port city, but considering how big the port is, just if we take a look, like this is a cargo port. So there's really no room to have a whole city built around this cargo port. I think I'm going to save this port for something, over here where we have a bigger area to develop. This, I think I might just make into some kind of, we have a huge low density demand. So I think I might make this into some kind of low density, nice suburban development, just kind of on the coast, maybe like a higher wealth area, so maybe some little shops down by the water and stuff. But this is not going to be a huge development. It is a very small footprint. And since we're by this hill, we have, we could just take a look at the topography here. We have a lot of pretty steep slopes. So we're going to be, it'll be challenging to build on the hillside. So I want to make sure that we, don't go too far up into the hill and make anything too ugly. So just keeping that in mind. But I do want to develop this today. We do have 45 expansion tiles. And if I get done with that quickly, I even want to take a stab at getting, some stuff over in this area, particularly some low density housing, probably some farmland, even, some kind of specialized industry here. And, I don't want to build too much on this hill. This is going to be kind of a nice natural area. So we're going to leave that as is. But yeah, just kind of expanding out over the highway, making, the edge of the city a little bit, kind of start thinning out the zones and making things a little bit more sprawled out and a little bit more rural. So those are the plans for today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so to kick off the time lapse here, we're going to do something pretty dramatic, which is going to be just de-zone all of this high density and replace it with some medium density zones. And now the reason that I'm doing this is that, I was still kind of learning the game, and, I thought that the only way to move forward was to try to fulfill any of the high density demand that we had by zoning out some high density in this part of the city. But when it comes down to it, you really don't need to do that. I've been playing a lot of City Skylines 2 actually off camera. I'm just doing, kind of my first big city, outside of YouTube, where I could just kind of sit and, experiment with the game and figure out, what works and what doesn't. And some of those skills and ideas that I've learned have already kind of transferred over to this episode in this city, where I kind of realized that you don't need to fulfill a lot of demand right when it comes through. Instead, it's better to just kind of let the city grow, and then, the demand for different zones will come in due time. So just changing up all that high density and medium density. And same thing along here with these roads. These roads, somebody mentioned in a comment that they were just too big, and I totally agree. I really thought it was going to be some kind of bigger downtown over here, and then after we just rezoned everything, it's definitely not going to be as big as I thought it would be. So way better to just, make these a smaller size and a little bit more manageable for this size of the city. But over here, actually this is something that I'm going to do right now, and then a little bit later on in the episode as well, is just these small little waterfront housing, kind of like offshoots, where the road just kind of shoots off of the main road, and then there's just going to be some little developments right up on the coastline. And so I thought this was a good idea to kind of make these coasts a little bit more presentable. I'm still figuring out what to do with waterfronts and these riverside areas and stuff, and it's kind of challenging since we don't have any kind of key functionality in this game, where we can't build these big retaining seawalls and everything like that. It's kind of difficult to make these areas look really good. So I've just experimented with some pathways, as you saw there, and then using a lot of vegetation and kind of some trees to make either a natural border or like an unnatural man-made type border to see these areas that are a little bit more manicured, such as this, where there's some housing developments going on and everything like that. So just again trying to figure out what works. This isn't super great, but it's better than the way it was, I thought. So And here we just have this little park, you know, this awkward space. So I just wanted to drag some pathways, detail this up. Nothing crazy at all. Right, so moving on to the other side of the river, this is the development that we haven't touched in a long time, like the second episode or so. So I wanted to finally get to this coastline, and since I was kind of feeling good from, you know, just making some of these housing developments over on the other side of the river, I figured, you know, why not do it here? Because this is kind of the same type of area. You know, I've been struggling with what to do with this area for a while, and notice I'm not dragging the zones all the way up to the water's edge because I like leaving a little bit of space. You know, that gives me some room to make some pathways and some trees, and you know, kind of manicure these coastlines a little bit, as you will see right now. So it's just one little trick that I use, and again, so far it's, you know, looking all right, and you know, given what we have to work with. And now jumping back over to the other side, where we have these, you know, pretty sprawled out suburbs. You know, I decided to clean this area up a little bit and, you know, get the suburbs a little bit closer to the highway to make use of some of this unused space. And so this is where you notice a lot in this episode that I'm doing a lot of like too wide zoning. And so that's something that I kind of learned works really well off camera. You know, I figured, you know, kind of mess with this a little bit and figured out that if you make, you know, zone every other 2 tiles, you know, and then you let that one develop and then zone the ones in between, it kind of helps you get these very, very even zoning widths and these very even lot sizes. So that's kind of the best way I figured to do that, except for the industry that you just saw where I just kind of zoned everything out. But hey, you know, we just needed to fulfill some of that demand, and you know, we had the space. But jumping back over to the other side, I know we've been going crazy and you know, all over the city today, but this is this coastal area right by the river, and I couldn't really figure out what to do with this. I don't like the layout of this part of the city particularly very much because it is the first area that we developed. So I kind of went through and am going through in this episode, kind of going through and redoing some of these parts. But this, you know, I thought would be a opportunity for a cool little, you know, waterfront office slash shopping district. And, you know, it didn't turn out like the absolute best, but it's a better use of the space than it was before. And yes, that is the decision we did just make to demolish that coal power plant. I know it's, you know, been decommissioned for a while. It was really just here to start the city. And now that the city has kind of crept over this way, I thought this area would be better to be repurposed as some industrial zones or something like that. You know, we just have this wide open space and we don't need that power plant anymore. And finally, we are over here on this other side of the river again, doing some, you know, really almost rural expansion in this area. You know, just kind of getting some roads laid out. Gonna be, you know, a little bit of kind of a, not necessarily a mountain pass, but since these aren't really mountains, but you know, something along those lines. Just a very scenic drive that kind of hugs the hillside, goes through the forest, and then kind of along the coast. And you could see I actually decided to switch it to a rural highway rather than sticking with a regular road. And I know you can't zone on these, but these just look really, really good in this area. And so I like kind of how this again just kind of snugs the hillside. And I don't really plan to do a lot of development around here because the city has to end at some point. So we finally make it to the coast, and this is where I want to start my little town. So with that being said, let's lay out these couple roads, and then we'll jump back into live play. Well, notice anything? Yeah, my game crashed. So here we are back to not square one fortunately. But back to where, before I deleted this power plant and kind of redid this area. So let's take two on that real quick. But I am kind of bummed because I was starting to get a little bit of a flow down here. And, I know I could just like rewatch the footage, and at least I kind of have an idea of what I did. So let's redo this area real quick, save, redo that area real quick, and just kind of get the city laid out. We don't have to do the zoning and stuff today, but I think that'll be kind of the last thing we do, because I know it doesn't seem like we've done a lot, but we have done a lot actually. So it'll be nice to finish up a couple of these areas and just kind of get them laid out. And I know typically I'm not a fan of deleting things on a large scale like this, but in this case, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe a little more necessary because of this was built so early in the city and so early in the game. And I think I brought this up in the time lapse a little bit, but I have been playing a lot of this game off camera and kind of building, a city of my own where, there's not the pressure of, not that this is really any pressure at all, but just completely, on my own and kind of just experimenting with the game and seeing, the different possibilities. And I gotta say, I have learned a lot about the game from doing that. I've learned a lot about kind of, things that you want to do to make your city look good and things that, don't make your city look as good. And so it's really helped to kind of just spend some time with the game. And the more and more I play it, the more I'm kind of getting the hang of it and kind of figuring out, what works and what doesn't. So that's been really, really nice and really helpful. And now I'm just kind of noticing maybe this would be a nice opportunity to make this like a cross street here. But yeah, see, just when I started this game, I was kind of just throwing these industrial zones, down all crazy, and, didn't really have a plan for any of this. And so, again, you wouldn't really see me do this under normal circumstances, but this is just so, I just don't like the way that any of this really looks at the moment. So I'm trying to rebuild some of these areas and just make them look a little bit more presentable from a zoning standpoint, especially with the way that I'm figuring out zoning works in this game. It really does help to have a little more rigid, you don't have to completely build in a grid, but it does help to have a little bit more rigid zoning compared to in a City Skylines 1 where you have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to the zones. This, it can kind of mess up your grid pretty easily. Like even see here, like I just need a little bit more, but that's fine. But then you can kind of come off the road like this. Trying my best here. But yeah, so I'm gonna attempt to rebuild these couple of areas, and hopefully it'll turn out better than what I just did a second ago. But yeah, always a bummer when your game crashes. PSA to save your game frequently, even if you don't do much, because then you have to go back and rebuild everything like I have to do right now. So it's not the best experience, but you know what? Again, it is what it is, and perks of having a new game. So can't really complain too bad. But yep, I'm gonna get to it. Figure out if I can fix all this up. And so I know it still doesn't look great, but it's functional enough, and it is what it is for this part of the city. It's kind of meant to be a sloppy industrial park. You want to think that this part wasn't super planned out, and now it's a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and save the game real quick. Actually being smart. And now let's go ahead and try to rebuild what we did over here. Just wanted to purchase these few tiles. And then we were able to drag out a liked this this rural road that we were able to drag out. This thing is really cool, and it kind of adapts to the terrain, with the passing lanes and stuff. So I think that's pretty sweet. So yeah, I'm just going to make this overpass again. And now we're going to switch to the rural highway. So we can just drag this out very easily around these mountain roads here. So I was thinking about doing some zoning along this at some point. But to be honest, I kind of like having just this sort of like a scenic byway, kind of that follows the coastline. So I don't really want to do any zoning around here particularly. Maybe we'll do a couple things kind of in the mountains or something, like a little, even maybe a little forestry industry or something. But for now, I kind of want to just leave this as is. I think that's really nice, having this kind of snake around this mountain. nice scenic drive. And then here is where we can have, you know, I kind of started to lay out that little town. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so this is where the crash happened last time when I was kind of I can't talk. Leveling out this terrain here. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. If I switch back to the road, just gonna bring this over here like this. There we go. And then that way we can have, you know, this kind of snake around and kind of hook back up to this road over here. That's not too steep of a slope there. And then this way, you know, this is going to be like a little spot for maybe some people's homes. You know, they can live right on the coast. Again, I kind of wanted this to be a little bit of a wealthier area, so this will be really, really nice for people to kind of move into this spot and, you know, have a little bit of land and be really, really secluded, you know, suburban area, but highly sought after. Maybe a little beachification. People can have some summer homes, you know, stuff around here. So I like that. Let's keep going here with this this road. And so this part, I actually do think I'm going to have some zoning along here. So I'm just going to kind of have this snake around and then kind of cut into the town right there. So we'll level this out a little bit and kind of have some houses up in here. I'm even thinking about having a little bit of a grid going up into the mountains. And again, this is not going to be, you know, anything substantial. So I don't want the lots to be too big. I think I'm thinking 3 deep as opposed to, you know, like the 4 or 5, some of the bigger lots in the game. So this will really help to keep this a little bit on a smaller scale as well. All right, and so yeah, I think this is how I kind of want to lay out this part of the city. So I'm thinking, you know, a little commercial district down here, some residential low density up here, and some low density around here. And maybe, you know, this spot, I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this yet. I know I could build here, but I kind of don't want to. I might put maybe some apartments right here or something, and then just leave this as a nice open area, you know, maybe a little pathway going through here. And then I don't know if I'll put something on this side up here, maybe like a little school or something, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So for now, I think this is a nice little layout, just something not, you know, super crazy, very low density area. And then the reason that I dragged out this rural highway along here is because I think this is going to be a good spot to put some of our specialized industry, you know, since we have absolutely zero of that in this whole city. I was thinking maybe we can do some type of farming, you know, up here in the hills, and then just have some dirt roads kind of going off of here. And I know it's a little bit close to this, you know, higher density area, but I think we can have a nice transition with the highway. It shouldn't be too too much of a, you know, abrupt transition from here. And honestly, even this building, I think I can get rid of this building. It's a little bit big and a little bit awkward for this space. I think I might make this to a low density building instead, because that is a little bit excessive for this space right here. So I'm gonna leave that there for now. And actually, while I'm at it, you know, I do want to make, since it's gonna face this way apparently, I do want to make this into a highway overpass. So what I'm gonna do is drag this road out right here like so. And of course, I'm not going to be able to go over the railroad tracks because that would just be too easy, wouldn't it? So I guess what we're going to have to do is, I can't go under it either, it looks like. Actually, we can. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to go under the tracks, which I don't really like. I guess it, oh, no, it's not going to let us do it. Is it? Well, I guess that'll be a problem for another day. So for now, I think this is a good spot to call it an episode. Next episode, we'll probably zone this out, get this little town built. And not quite sure what else we want to do, but we did, in my mind, we got quite a lot done today, you know. We cleaned up some of these coastlines. We have some nice little development going along the water here and around this way now. And I still want to clean this area up, this whole coast. So we'll get to that very soon. But I think, you know, for now, this is quite a nice place to be. I'm very happy with how this all is turning out. It starts to, you know, from a distance, starting to look a little bit more like a proper city. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series. You know, bear with me here. I'm still getting used to the game, still figuring out what works and what doesn't. So thank you guys for coming along for the ride, and hope to see you guys in the next episode and in future City Skylines series as well. So have a great rest of your week. I will talk to y'all in the next episode. Peace out. See you later.